the journey of what it is you're doing in whatever area of law you end up working in, that it's from step A to Z and you're getting it. And then you start to be creative in how to solve um, efficiency problems, like how to do things in an easier way, how to protect yourself with deadlines, and maybe there's another way, hint, hint, to monitor those and to not drop the ball, and you've got it together. And that's what we all want when we're beginning, but we don't have it when we begin. We have it maybe from another workplace, um, or past experiences where we felt that and we were in the flow, and it was like, oh, this makes sense now. And that is an issue in the legal field, is that there's so little training when you start. It's so sporadic and nobody has time to train you. Please believe this when I tell you this, okay? People are in denial that this happens, but it is true, and other people who started will attest to this. um, but you can feel quite incompetent in the beginning. Yeah. And you can feel there are loose ends all over the place. There are ways to solve that, okay? And I talked about a couple ways in my recent workshop that I would highly recommend as a beginner, not as a veteran paralegal, but as a beginner. You come to the next free workshop and also sign up for the VIP, which will be $17 for a limited time when I open it again, and then it goes up to $47. So it's really, it was such a good time. And so we went from the free workshop at 11 a.m. to the paid VIP right afterwards, where we get down even deeper with hard copy examples, okay, of what I'm talking about. And when you become more, the second zone is you become more competent and you start to feel that you're putting puzzle pieces together. That's the hardest thing in the beginning, is that because there's so limited or very sporadic training at all in the legal field in any capacity, that those puzzle pieces they seem to be floating out there somewhere, and you don't know how it all goes together. And it may take you 6 months, a year, 2 years to figure it out. And that's not because you have lack of patience with yourself, really. It's because they haven't figured out how to do all this as in regards to training in the legal field when you're on the job. So you have to take this mantle upon yourself to go from incompetence to competent to excellence to being in your zone of genius. The first one, incompetence, we feel that. Number 2 is competence. Number 3, that's the beginnings. Number 3 is you start to feel that you're doing so much right. And number 4 is you are in your zone of genius. You are figuring out, oh, I know how this case works. I know how this workload should go. And you have multiple cases you're working on, multiple projects, and A to Z. And I walked in I had an attorney come up to my door, and I was working on something, and he said, could you please go in the conference room and help them? They're kind of spinning their wheels. So I walked in and I said, what are we doing? And they had one notebook, and it was this thick, that was organized correctly, and 2 other ones that were a mishmash of the same documents, but all mixed up. And it would take us, honestly, it was already 4:30. It would take us until 9 o'clock before we organized those other 2 notebooks the way they should be. And people wanted to go home. And so I said, well, what if we just copy that one? That one's already organized. And our file clerk volunteered to stay and copy both of those. And that ended that. And we all went home, except for the file clerk, who was glad to get some overtime pay. So you have to, once you start to get experience in the field, you start to feel as if you're entering that, you're going from incompetence to competence to excellence to zone of genius, which means like deadlines set with index cards, and most people don't do that anymore. And so, yeah, you'll be banned in a second, idiot. So, that no longer exists. We use more electronics to go and monitor deadlines and all of that, okay? And when you have all these things in place, you start to feel like you've got a handle on it. And that takes a little bit of time. It can take you 6 months, maybe another person a year. It took me a little bit longer. At the 6th, 7th month mark, I started to feel like, okay, now I'm understanding. There weren't a lot of helps because there was no internet. This was right before all that broke loose. And then once the internet came out, oh my gosh, what a treasure trove of resources. So I want you to come to the next free workshop, and if you can, come to the paid VIP, which is very minimal cost. It's worth your time to do that. We'll be running it again soon. This will help you greatly in your quest to build your confidence and knowledge about what you should know. And yes, you'll have to go do some homework, okay? And it will open up a whole wonderful world to you that maybe you didn't know existed. So I'll see you soon in the next video, and stay tuned for an announcement of the next workshop date. Take care.